Greetings, everybody. My name is James. I am from the internet, and today we are going to be talking about rejection. Now, it does not matter who you are, where you are in life, at what level of the social hierarchy within which you exist. Every single one of us as people, at some point or another in our lives, have felt the pain of rejection. We have offered whatever it is that we are and what we have to offer to another, and they take a pass, whether it be kindly and politely or rudely or, I don't know, maybe with a restraining order. It doesn't matter. There is still that pain of rejection, and it stings, it hurts. And as a human being who has a certain amount of empathy, because, you know, again, I'm a human being, I feel badly for people when they turn around and they tell you just how much it fucking stings when they get rejected. But there are exceptions to this, and there are limits to my kindness and empathy. Like, for example, all of the C-level executives who woke up this morning and realized that the more than 10,000 factory workers at John Deere rejected their second contract proposal. Ooh, oh, wow, that kind of rejection's gotta hurt. Imagine getting rejected twice in like 2 weeks. Ooh, yeah, that's gonna leave a mark. So what I would like to do today is take a look at how the union vote went down, what people are saying about it, and then what we can expect from organized labor and their ability to organize and demand better. Here we go. We're going to kick it off over in Waterloo, Iowa, where the UAW, Local 838, voted overwhelmingly to reject the second contract proposal from John Deere, more than 70% voting no. Nationally, the no votes won 55 to 45, and so the strike is going to continue, with all union workers reporting back to the picket line this morning. By the time you see this video, they will have already remobilized and been out in the streets, on the line, in front of all the plants around the country. The New Deal would have given raises throughout the duration of the contract. The first year promised a 10% raise, along with 5% bumps in years 3 and 5. Smaller lump sums would have also been given in years 2, 4, and 6. The union also said that the contract had no changes for health care and that their employees will not be asked to pay for premiums and will not have any deductibles. It is a demand that they are sticking with. And because this second contract proposal did not contain those asks, the workers have rejected the deal and said, nah, we're good. Y'all have fun over there without us. Retirement has been a sticking point for UAW members as well, since previous iterations of an agreement did away with pensions for future employees. The new agreement presented over the weekend included a retirement bonus for those who've worked for Deere and Company for 10 or more years. UAW members who work between 10 and 24 would have received a $37,500 bonus, and with those at 25 years or more retiring, they would have seen a $50,000 bonus. And yet, they rejected the deal not because it wasn't good for them as lifelong members of the union and people who have been at Deere for decades. No. The rank and file, including the older employees who would have benefited the most from this deal, rejected it because it didn't do enough for the retirement plans of the people coming up behind them. That is what's called working class solidarity. And again, working class solidarity plus direct action will always get the goods. John Deere released a statement following the results of the Tuesday night vote saying, quote, through the agreements reached with the UAW, John Deere would have invested an additional $3.5 billion in our employees and, by extension, our communities to significantly enhance wages and benefits that were already the best and most comprehensive in our industries. This investment was the right one for Deere, our employees, and everyone we serve together. Wow, imagine that. The people who wrote up the deal with the caps on how much people can make are the ones saying that this would have been the best deal for everybody. That's an amazing stretch there, but please, I'm sorry, allow me to continue. Even though it would have created greater competitive challenges within our industries, we had faith in our employees' ability to sharpen our competitive edge. Wow, look at that martyrdom from John Deere. With the rejection of the agreement covering our Midwest facilities, we will execute the next phase of our customer service continuation plan. For the record, their customer service continuation plan means that they are going to continue shifting non-union salaried employees from the corporate office, like Steve in accounting and Amy in HR, and they're going to take them and they're going to have them start welding together 30-ton combines on an assembly line for their production run that's slated to start no later than November 15th. But that's right. They're going to have accountants and HR reps on an assembly line building 30-ton combines. So that's the plan. Yeah, sure, they'll bring in some non-union scabs from around the country and pay them an exorbitant amount of money to come in and do scab work because, again, giving somebody else a lot of money for a few months is cheaper than actually having to give people good benefits lasting throughout their career or even their life. It's almost as if the people at John Deere are more concerned with their long-term profitability than the long-term health, success, or happiness of their rank-and-file employees. Our UAW John Deere National Bargaining Team went back to our local members after the previous tentative agreement and canvassed the concerns and priorities of the membership, said UAW President Ray Curry. We want to thank the UAW bargaining team and striking UAW members and their families for the sacrifices they have made to achieve these gains. Our members have enjoyed the support of our communities and the entire labor movement nationwide as they've stood together in support and solidarity these past few weeks. And again, in much the same way that the older and more senior employees at John Deere are going out of their way to fight for better benefits for the people coming up behind them, other labor unions around the country are supporting the John Deere strike because they know if other laborers get a better deal, well, the floor raises just a little bit more, and it makes it a little easier for the next group of people to demand better. The first strike in more than 3 decades at John Deere comes after the company reported earning a record high $4.68 billion in profits during the first 9 months of the 2021 fiscal year, more than double the $1.993 billion reported during the same time last year. Wow, their profits more than doubled, but somehow the workers' salaries stayed flat through all that. It's almost as if the executives at John Deere are making a shit ton of money more off of the labor of the working class and then just not giving them a big enough piece of the pie. And by the way, numbers like that is a huge fucking pie. John Deere's chairman and CEO John May earned a compensation of some $15.58 million in fiscal year 2020, according to a company SEC filing. This would make the ratio of the CEO's total compensation to the median employee's total compensation in 2020 approximately a 220-to-1 ratio. Wow. So then what you're saying is that the CEO worked 220 times harder than the median employee because, of course, as we all know, corporations say, the harder you work, the more money we'll pay you. And if they're paying this guy $15.5 million a year, well, then surely he's working 220 times harder than the employees that they're not offering nearly enough money to. Cool story. Quote, I think workers have reached a tipping point. For too long, they've been called essential but treated as expendable, and workers have decided that enough is enough. The pandemic has made clear what's important and what's not, and workers are looking at work in a new way and demanding more of a return on their labor and demanding things like basic respect, dignity, and safety on the job. the pandemic has put on display for everyone to see how important workers are to this country, and you can't call workers essential for 18 months and then treat them like crap when they all come back on the job. So you know what? If you can't pay them properly and you can't treat them well, maybe they just won't come back. This strike is seen as an example of a more hardline stance by rank-and-file union members, partly emboldened by employers having trouble finding the workers to fill a near record number of job openings. Some labor experts and economists point to the record rate of mostly non-union workers quitting their jobs nationwide as a sign of workers demanding more from their employers and their jobs than they have in the past. Douglas Woolham told the Des Moines Register that he voted against the contract because he didn't think it provided enough for the majority of workers who were on the lower end of the pay scale. Woolham, who's worked for the company for 23 years in Moline, Illinois, said members of his family have been working for the company for 75 years, beginning with his grandfather. He said his father retired from Deere, making a higher wage than he earns now. Wow, it's almost as if John Deere going out of their way to offer something as dramatic sounding as a 10% bump to people's salaries is still just a pittance compared to how little they have increased the salary of their workers over the last 10 years, while they continue to see record profitability year over year. But that's right, let's focus on greedy workers who don't think a 10% raise is enough. You know, when you're an employee now and you're making less than employees did 25 years ago, you shouldn't complain because you still have a job, right? Forklift operator Irving Griffin, who's been with Deere for 11 years, told the newspaper on Monday that he planned to vote against the contract because he believed the company could offer even more. Griffin said he thought workers should hold out for a better offer, even though they're only receiving $275 a week from the union while they're on strike. Quote, "Now is the best time to strike and take a stand for what we're really worth." And at the end of the day, that's what we have here, people, a disagreement between management and the working class as to how much labor is actually worth. And if John Deere believes that what they're offering is the most that labor is worth, well, then it sounds like John Deere is going to have a very difficult time converting their capital into actual manufactured equipment because they lack, hold on, wait, let me check my notes here. Labor. And just in case you were concerned, you know, like, how are those poor C-level executives and people on the board of directors and shareholders of a company like John Deere, how are they going to manage and deal with this strike when they have, you know, lower revenue while laborers refuse to work? I mean, are they going to have to sell their seventh house? Are they going to have to get rid of their third housekeeper? How is this going to shake out? Well, I thought I'd take a look. This right here is the 5-year history of the stock price of John Deere, which 5 years ago sold for less than $100 a share, and this year tapped out just under $400 a share before starting to drop after, you know, people realized that their revenues were going to decline because there was an incoming labor strike, because John Deere felt that its employees weren't worth all that much more money. I'm curious to see how many combines and tractors and large pieces of equipment they sell with no laborers building anything. This should get very interesting, folks. And last but not least, because people always ask me, hey, what can I do? How can I help? Well, John Deere workers have a GoFundMe set up. You can just Google GoFundMe, John Deere, and you will find this fundraising page, which has now raised almost $138,000. On the page, the union leadership explains that they have decided to take that money and they are creating a grocery voucher program for striking union members and their employees to make sure that people and their families can get fed while they're out on the picket line demanding better so that everybody else out there has a better chance of improving their quality of life as well. Just saying, this is out there. So what does this mean for you, the average viewer, at home, the fellow member of the working class? Well, number one, it means that just because management comes to you and says, this is the best we can do, or this is the most we can offer, it doesn't mean it's the best they can do, and it most assuredly doesn't mean it's the most they can offer. Now, yes, I understand the majority of labor in the United States of America doesn't have the backing of a labor union, because capitalists and the government have been working hand in hand for decades to decimate labor unions, to take away collective bargaining from the working class, so that corporations can continue to pay you as little as possible and improve their stock price as much as possible. In other words, stick together, talk about money at work, normalize discussing your wages, help people realize that they might not be making nearly as much as they should be and that they are underselling their labor. And of course, continue to demand better because your labor is worth more. Until next time, my name is James. I am from the internet and I am out. Peace.